Yeah, let's call this meeting of the City of Victoria Parks Commission to order. It's 5:30 on the dot, looks like to me. We have an agenda posting for today, Monday, December 10th, 2018. First item on the agenda tonight is citizen communications. So at this time, members of the public are invited to address the commission to speak on any matter not specifically listed. Do we have anyone here that wishes to address the commission? If not, we'll move on to item number 3. This is a list of items from commissioners, and we've got a list of several. Gail, these look like your name is by several of these. Do you want to address those, or do you want Colby to talk about them? How do you want to
I thought
approach
Colby
that?
was going to talk about them.
I can address, this was from our last meeting, and some of these items were on there. I know Ms. Ripka and I had met independently about a few of them, so I will bring you up on some of those items that we have, just to kind of keep you up to date. It was requested at the last meeting, and so that's why you see it on this agenda. The clearing of Grover's Bend and Fox's Bend, that is an ongoing project that we will be working on every year. That the amount of work that we are able to do on that depends on the mowing, as far as how during the winter hours of when the grass goes dormant. My crews that do all of our mowing around town, once the grass goes dormant and stuff, we'll start those projects as they're coming up. There is no timeline on how, when we'll get done with all of them. It's all weather based as far as how far we can go and how much we get done each year. I think the Pebble Beach mowing status, that was one that during, it got requested, was during a time that we got hit with a lot of rain and growing, and so if you go out there now, you can see that that's back on its normal routine and is mowed down. Pebble Beach picnic tables, that was brought up as far as what's the replacement schedule on those, with the potential, and like we have currently right now with the flood going on down at the park. We do not replace those picnic tables with new picnic tables. Once each year, when we order picnic tables, we will take an older one from different areas of different parks or whatnot. We may bring a wooden one down there, but we don't like to put a brand new one that's $1,300-$1,400 down there with the river coming up and stuff. So normally we just go back with another wooden one, and as soon as we repurchase this year's picnic tables, we'll be replacing a picnic table down there and making sure that one gets down there. The safety concern about access for first responders to the river, I did speak with the fire chief, and he explained that he is perfectly comfortable with the way that the river is set up now and their ability to get in there and do what they need to be able to do. And so he didn't see any issue for an additional spot to be able to launch their boat. They said they have plenty of spots that they can launch that boat if they need to. The kayak exit point in South Street, what we saw that was an original before was an emergency exit point. It was not ever to be on the trail as a dedicated in and out. It was a emergency exit. Now there is some blading that needs to go on, and there will be some more blading. Every year, every time the river rises, that's going to wash out some of those areas. And so when this river drops back down, we'll go inspect it and make sure that anything is taken care of where it can be an exit point. It's not a boat launch ramp. It's more of just a kayak exit point. Should be done. Fox's Bend disc golf, that really ties back into the number one item there as far as when Fox's Bend, if you'll recall, and new commissioners, 2 years ago we budgeted for 18 additional holes at Fox's Bend. We have since placed 9 of them there. Ms. Repke and I can't remember the other gentleman's name that helped design the other part of Fox's Bend.
Ron Engelbretson.
Ron had some areas that were going to be back in Fox's Bend. We looked at that during the winter, and of course you had grass that was down during the winter, and now with it when it grows back up, and so we weren't ready to place the additional 9 holes because of the fact that we couldn't maintain those areas just yet. And so we still have those baskets, and as we get over there and able to expand how we mow and be able to get that area knocked down where it's able to be maintained on a consistent basis, then we'll come back and put those disc holes in.
Colby, if I could interject on that one.
Sure.
Initially we were slated to finish that course before Harvey came. And so that was, we're pushing 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
So I've seen other projects that got started that weren't really slated to be done, like the new playground at Grover's Bend and the new splash pad at Tracy. And it's like those projects just kind of came out of nowhere and got finished when this one was on the books for quite some times, and we're still not, we haven't made any progress
And I think
on
that
completion.
the explanation for that and my thought process behind that is those projects that you're speaking of that have gotten done are infrastructure projects. Those are ones that we're going out and we're going to purchase a playground for Grover's Bend. That's not something that my employees are going to go and maintain and get ready. And so where I'm hiring a contractor to go out there and build that, that's not taking my staff to build that facility. And so the reason why those other 9 holes around the Fox's Bend areas are not, because that will be, we've got to make sure that before I put that infrastructure in, that I can maintain those areas so that it is up to the standard of the department. Does that answer your question? I know that's not what you want to hear, but that's the answer for it.
Well, what we need too is just 7 more holes cleared on that course to complete the 18. And what lots of folks don't know is that you yourself went out there with the Forester truck to clear the holes that we have now. I mean, it's because of you that we have this course right now with your support. And is there any way that we can get somebody back on that Forester truck to clear out these last 7 holes to complete this course? Like, can we put a timeline on it? Because we already had a timeline, and
I think it goes back to Ms. Repke in a sense that if I don't finish Grover's Bend, then I'm going from one project that still is not getting finished. Now I'm jumping over to another project, and so that's where what we're looking for is to try to finish up Grover's Bend as weather permits, as my staffing is able to get that to a level that they can maintain on a consistent basis. And then we will move over to that next area and work those areas just like that. And so we started Grover's Bend back when we put the additional parking lot in, when we started working the access to the Pebble Beach area. We are always fighting that area because those 2 areas are first to flood, they're first to come up, and so the damage that those takes consistently, we've got to make sure that we're able to maintain it in a manner that is going to be up to what we want to see out of the department.
is there any plan to combat the constant river rising? Because I know like right now, that area is full of all kind of brush and debris. Big, huge trees are along the side of Grover's Bend. And at one time, you had it kind of cleared out with a new hiking trail. But then a flood came and you reestablished part of the hiking trail, but it's moved way back toward the road.
Yeah, the hiking trail will be one of the first, when we will order granite gravel, that part of the project was paid for by FEMA. Since it was damaged during the hurricane, and so we did receive funding to be able to replace that granite trail. That will be one of the projects that will be started this winter that we will get to. But in turn, that pushes back those other projects once again that we have, and so that's another one that will go in front of being able to clear out Grover's Bend. We've got to get that trail rebuilt and establish what we currently have so that we can maintain it, and that's where we're going to be doing that and control post this starting next week.
Starting to clear Grover's?
Well, the control post will start to go back in, and then we will work on the granite trail during this winter time period, and then as we have time, we will go and start clearing again.
Is the granite trail going to be in the same location that you have it now, close to the road, or in its original location, closer to the river where you can see the river?
It'll probably be it'll probably be in its current location because of the flooding coming in. I want to keep it as high as I can. We did put it back closer to the river, but we did see that the floods came quicker and quicker to that. We've got to get it up as high as we possibly can, so it will come back up to its current location.
You talk about maintenance in Grover's Bend. Not too long ago, y'all started clearing out the top of Grover's Bend right before the children's park, and it was all cleared out, but then it kind of grew back up. I mean, do you have a solution to maintain that, to keep it clear? Because lots of people were going fishing there and hanging out, and, I mean, it was a really easy river access point right there.
Yes, ma'am, and that's where I'm coming in and trying to correlate those two of what I'm talking about with Fox's Bend and stuff, to be able to get those areas where that we can maintain them. It's a constant struggle when you have that river coming up and down, and you've got a lot of vegetation that is growth there. And then until we can continue to knock that out, where that plant does not go to seed, and we can get the base layer down where we're growing a Bermuda grass or a carpet grass or something of that nature, where we're not mowing over Johnson grass, or that, Johnson grass will grow this tall in a matter of 3 weeks. And so that's the kind of things that I'm saying that we've got to make sure that my department can get back to and maintain on a current level. We're always looking to improve our efficiencies and our speeds. And so each year we do that with, whether that's buying different equipment, whether that's, looking at different ways that we can increase our efficiencies. I can tell you that we're working hard. Not everything is to the where I want it to be, but we're working to get there. The next one on there is the dog park status. I do want to remind that this one comes up. A few years ago, the commission took on to look to do fundraising for a dog park and take that on. At one point, we went to city council, and I don't remember the exact date, and the commission decided that this was not a project that they wanted to take on. They felt like it was too large. Now, we had a different commission group that started, and I believe Mr. Keelan was helped get this a nonprofit started, and so I have not heard anything from that nonprofit, but that's where the dog park part of it is, as far as this commission stated to council that this was not a project that the commission was going to take on. This is not a project that the city was going to take on, that they were going to leave it to the nonprofit to help raise funds into that, and that I don't believe that that's gone much more than much past the initial setup of the 401c corporation. I hope I'm saying that right, Mr. Keeling. But
I think that's right, yeah.
Okay.
There still are people interested in that is on that commission. Is that land still slated for the dog park? Is it still saved for it, or are you looking at something else for that land?
there are no plans for that land right now.
Who is involved with the 501c3? Like, just random community members, or just?
I can give you kind of a quick update of that. We formed the 501c a year and a half ago, probably. And we have, since that time, we have a lot of flexibility in what we can do, but we really need to get a good board of directors selected from the community, people that are interested in being involved in it. It's got the ability to do some good things that are very hard to do. They're very difficult for this particular body to do because we're a public body. We have to meet publicly and all that other kind of stuff. So it has the possibility of doing that, but we really need to staff it the right way with the right people to be involved in. If you've got some interest in being involved, and I think we can't all be on it, because then we would recreate the commission in a different place, and so we kind of have to do that. But if you have an interest in it, we'd be more than happy to let you know more about it and become involved in it, any of you, if you want to. So,
And some
or you have
projects,
ideas about people who we've been talking about that. Gail sent me last week 1,000 text messages about it, and I apologize for not getting back to her on all of them. But some very good ideas, and you had identified some people I think would be very helpful and very good to help get that thing off the ground. So I'm hopeful that will start too.
some projects that we're looking at sponsoring are doing some grant writing to fund some more disc golf courses out at Saxett Lake or Patriot Park with the county. Been working with Gary Burns with that, and got several foundation leads to do grants, and some folks that want to help write grants. What else? We have some people interested in doing some birding projects, so we're waiting on some proposals to come in. So that nonprofit is a means for us to raise money to give back to the city to support those things. And the unique thing about this nonprofit, it was written to not only give to the city of Victoria, but any public municipality, so that we can do other projects.
What
Public
is the
parks.
official?
Yes.
What is the name of it?
The Victoria Parks Coalition. Incorporated.
My only question is on this parks status. Where are we at this time? We formed commissions. We've been, trying to get fundraisers, and at that time we had $1,500. You already spent that money. We talked about grants. I like to see, if we're gonna do something, it needs to, be addressed and go with it, because like I said, it's been, what, 3, 4 years now that we've been hitting the same subject, and we're still in a standstill.
For that project, for the dog park project, we need someone to step up and lead the project
I know,
to,
so, and I thought I think we had a commission, at one time that we're gonna continue, we're gonna volunteer, we're gonna meet, we're gonna come with some ideas, and I think some of the members are, I think, are gone. I think I brought this up, to Kobe. Somebody, we have the old horse arena was set aside for that. Remember we talked about maybe the old softball fields that are up by the office? That, they're fenced in, and I don't know how much work can be done to, kinda, it's got a parking space, it's got restrooms, it's got water system. Maybe it's something we can change, maybe lower the price of, what was it, $250,000 we're looking at?
That was the, right around the
300,000.
estimate, around
300?
250, 300,000.
And maybe we can go in that aspect and maybe lower the price of, from 250 to maybe 100.
that wasn't a lot of amenities too. A lot of that was going to fencing.
Yeah. Well, see, because I think the baseball field is fenced already in. The old one that's not being used anymore.
You familiar with that area, Colby? Because I don't see a fence there in my mind's eye. Right next to the parks office, the new parks
Yeah,
office?
across the street.
I think that commission, just to interject here, I think that if this is an item that the commission wants to put on an agenda to discuss plans for, or to develop a subcommittee to relook at this, I think that's what that needs to be done. I think us discussing it at this here,
Right.
we're just talking,
Yes.
and it's really not to the intent of the
We're-
agenda.
We're off the agenda a little
Yeah.
bit. So,
Well, that's exactly my point, that,
So-
we need to, if we're gonna do this project, we need to, go forward with it.
is there any more on these items here?
Yes. We wanted to talk about the parking barriers, item number H is on here. You said you're going to start in Grover's Bend with that?
The plan for this year, we're hoping to install roughly 800 of the control post. We will work from Grover's Bend back up towards the Rose Garden, and then we will also we're looking to try to finish in not Fox's Bend, the special events area, so that we can stop cars from getting in there, and that will be just how far we can get. We've budgeted for 800. We believe in years past we've been able to hit that mark, and so that's kind of where we're at right now.
The reason that I wanted to talk about the parking barriers is we have so many requests for parking barriers across from the zoo area on the disc golf course, like around hole number 10. There used to be parking barriers all along the side of the road, and people have knocked them over with their cars, and they're parking right up to the picnic tables and right by the disc golf basket. So it's kind of a safety hazard, and all of that area is getting washed out with their cars, it's eroding. So is there any way that we can maybe try to hit that area?
What we're doing right now is trying to connect and make sure that to get spots that are connecting all the way through. This is a 6 or 7 year project that is on, and so I could name 5 or 6 other places throughout the park that have those areas, and so what we're trying to do now is just start connecting, and we've got funding available for about 800 a year, and we will do as much as far as we can, as long as we till we get to that 800, and then the next group will have to start the next year over again.
Are those parking barriers filled with cement or anything? Because I've noticed that some of the new parking barriers in Fox's Bend, the cables have been popped already in some parking areas.
Most of the time, they are concreted in, and that's the reason that it takes so long, because previously those wooden ones were just set in the ground, and over time they get rotted, they get loose, and they're able to knock down. And so that's the reason they're more expensive, but it takes us, and so there's less that we can do each year. But the cable will pop before the control post will bend or break. If a car hits it, it's going to do some damage on it. And so we believe that it's a sustainable, longer project that we're not going to have to replace every single year, that we're replacing the same ones that we did last year. Doesn't mean that some of them don't get hit multiple times and we replace, but it's not near the amount of, the ones that we've put in now do not cost us as much maintenance as the wooden ones before. And so as time gets on, we will eventually have them all done.
And isn't it the goal of the parking barriers is to keep people from parking on the grass?
Yes, it is. It's against the ordinance to park on the grass at the at any of our parks.
Because on so many events, we see that people are parking on the grass. Is this something that the parks is going to enforce, is not parking on the grass to maybe encourage people to stay off of the grass with their vehicles?
If my staff is there, they see somebody, they will ask them. PD has the discretion. I can't force them to write a ticket or whatnot. They have the discretion at that sense. And so it's, you know, it's almost one of those things. It's very difficult to enforce all of the time. It'll be one of those, if we catch it, we'll stop it. But it's very, very difficult for us to, we don't have staff down there all day, every day that we can stop that at all the times. It's a lot of education as far as, you know, getting out there and asking people, please don't park on the grass.
That's
But
one
we
of-
have seen less and less from the time that I've been here for when I got here 5 years ago compared to where now it's not near as bad as it was. And so we believe that the additional control post, as that program is getting finished and wrapped up, that parking on the grass will become less and less.
That's one of the biggest pet peeves I get from the community is folks parking on the grass. It just seems so disrespectful.
Sure, if you happen to see somebody out there that is parking on the grass, you're welcome to call the police department and have them come out there. And so we encourage any citizen to be able to do that. That if you're out there and my staff's not there or whatnot, please call the PD and tell them come out that we got people parking on the grass. And that word will spread, and then maybe that'll help stop it. It's something we fight and fight and fight. It's very difficult.
All right, any more on those? There's a couple more on the next page. I don't know whether, Gail, that's not yours, number I. Is it
Yeah,
what
we
you-
forgot to amend that.
Okay. And then, Mike, did you,
That lighting, David, okay, I brought up, you know, last month about trying to put some dimmers on the community center, but to my information, it's very expensive.
Yeah, we got a quote of $16,500.
$60,000 and, but I went to the community center and the dimming of the lights is possible to satisfy the attendance. We did it, I went down at the parks and, the young lady, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, was Nancy, that showed me, you know, how they could do the dimming. And it was just ideal for the purpose of, you know, an event, especially a dance.
That means I don't have to spend
You have to pay
$16,500.
$60,000 and so the lighting is just perfect, you know. It's not too dark, it's not too bright, it's just ideal for people to be able to, you know, see, you know, and be able to relax in the atmosphere, not bright lights. So I think you can save $16,000.
All right, thank you, sir.
all right. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the August 13th, 2018 regular meeting. Those are there in front of you.
We needed to amend this I on the bike trail. Who was that?
I brought that up
didn't go
because
over
it was
that.
brought to my attention by several students from the college that it'd be perfect for them to have a bike trail from the college to the Riverside Park. And I just brought it up as an idea and, you know, it's just not in the plans, so maybe in the future.
And I think that may be an MPO. Charmel, Ms. Garrett, is that more of an MPO type of thing, or no? No. Street, okay.
Because we go eat there at the dining room and several of the students, you know, recognize me. And so they brought it up. It'd be nice. I said, well, I'll bring it up. And I brought it up. And like Kobe said, it was something that is not on the plan. So just an idea. As far as the minutes, I'd just like to make an amendment on number 2.
Okay.
It was Mr. Robert Nazarate Becerrata.
And I was yours, not mine.
Yeah,
Item I.
yes.
I'm sorry, there was something else on there? Or are you talking about,
Item I, the bike trail, I'm listed.
oh, that's the
And we'll-
agenda, but I was looking at the minutes from the last meeting. No, any other additions or changes to the meetings for the minutes of the last meeting? Y'all probably weren't here. If none, is there a motion to approve them as amended?
I'll make the, go ahead.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I'll mark that change and we'll just. There we go. The August 13th meeting minutes are approved. That brings us to, I don't think this is correct. Do we have a public hearing?
No,
Okay.
there is no public hearing.
Okay. Next is Ethel Lee Tracy Playground. First, a discussion and presentation of a proposed playground to be built at Ethel Lee Tracy Park.
Thank you, Mr. Keeling. In this current budget, we have budgeted for a replacement playground at Ethel Lee Tracy Park. It will be located over by the new splash pad that we had. This park is, with the addition of the new road, Placido Benavides coming through in the next year and a half, 2 years, we believe that this park is going to get a lot more use and come into a lot more people. And so we're going to replace that playground. And what I was wanting to do is to see if there was a group of 2 or 3 committee members that would like to meet with our playground representative and help design that playground. We've got some budget limitations and some different things like that, but I was wanting to get a few commissioners involved in that process. This playground will be one of our larger playgrounds that we will put in, and so wanted to see if this commission wanted to have a few people that were on that to help to do that, and then we would bring back the design to the commission to approve the design. Once that design was approved, then we would take it to council for the ultimate approval of the spending of the funds at that point. And so wanted to gauge y'all's interest and see if that was something that the commission wanted to take part in.
How old is the current playground?
It was built when the park was built. I don't know that date. I could find it. I'm not sure. I'd have to research that, Ms. Repka. I don't have that in front of me.
Because it's a nice playground right now.
It needs to be
No?
replaced. It's wore. It's got some age on it. The fall zone is coming up on it. We've replaced a lot of the different fall zones in it. The location of it is very difficult because of the road being so close to the playground. It's very scary, the kids running back and forth, and so that this is one of the playgrounds on its rotation, and it's ready to be replaced. It needs to be replaced, whether it's with this or somewhere else.
Is it going to be fenced in, maybe?
Depending on, we've got a limited amount of funds, and so that'll be something that we'll take in. What we hope is that it's set back far enough away that you're not going to have just a kid accidentally, jumping off a slide and then running into the road. I would not think that right now that it would be fenced, but I guess there is that whatever fencing you're going to put around it, that's less that you're going to spend on the playground. And so if we can locate it in an area that doesn't need fencing, that's what I would prefer to do.
Let me just ask on the, from commission members, are you interested in,
I'll be able
what
to.
do you think, 2 to 3 people is?
Yeah, I
would
think 2 to
be-
3.
We have to stay below
the-
4, or I'm sorry, we can have 4, I guess, max, but we can't have more than that.
I'll be willing to assist.
And this would be one that we would have the representative come down and maybe in an afternoon or evening or something of that nature. We can schedule those times, whether it's during the day or I'll be glad to do it on, after hours type of facility. So if jobs are something that we can work around that.
May I ask, whereabout is the location of this park right now?
It is behind the mall.
Behind the mall?
Yeah, that's the easiest way to say it, the
Yeah.
park behind the mall.
Okay.
The new
I'd
splash
love to
pad.
assist.
Yeah, I'd like to be part of that
Okay,
also.
all right, good. I'll put the 2 of you down on there.
We got 2 guys, we need a lady.
Okay.
Is this park being done by grants?
No, this is out of the budget and the
I'm sorry.
operating, this is out of the general fund budget.
Okay.
All right, that's, if anyone else is interested, we could have one more. Okay. Will you, Melissa? Okay. All right, well then, we'll have Mike, Jesse, Gloria, and Melissa will be our committee to give you a hand on those things. And you'll contact them regarding meeting and all that
Yes, I
stuff?
sure will.
Okay, all right.
And that will happen after the first of the year. So I'll get with you.
What kind of a time span are we giving ourselves on this.
What'd you sign up for?
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
Well, we have to spend the money before, or we have to encumber the money before October 1st. I would like to try to get this up and running. It, normally after we go to council, it's about a 6-week lead time before they start moving dirt. And so I would really like to have it up and running, as summer's getting here.
What kind of budget you got for that?
$300,000 right now.
300,000?
Yes.
I gotta get with you. We designed a park with my last community. I was in El Laredo. We did something like that with kids, and then we also did something like with weights and all, where parents can be involved as well.
Okay.
So we pretty much made more of a family engagement.
Sure.
So instead of just kids playing, you're also building nutrition, you're fighting obesity, and other things in there while parents are exercising. And these are kind of equipment where they use their own weight. It's not weights, it's
Right.
their own body weight.
Okay.
So it's something I think is pretty
a cool
fascinating that
idea.
we can have here in this community.
So about, not only that, not only the children, but also the adults.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. You're educating both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. Have you been to that facility? And then maybe that's the first thing that what we need to do is, as a group, go out and look at
Go
that
look at it.
facility
I like
and
that,
show you
'cause I've been away
what
for 42
amenities are already
years,
at the
yeah.
park, and then that way that y'all have an ideas as we're meeting, and that may be the best thing for us to do.
Right.
So that you have an idea of what we have already there, walking trails and different exercise activities that could be out there. So,
Okay, because I'd like to share some stuff with you. That one park we did, I think we spent a little over 100,000. And for the budget you have, I think that's more than ample enough right there to fulfill this right here. And providing lighting, all that stuff, get AEP involved, community involved in that.
Okay.
And this would be a good way of building up your logistics, what your personnel you have available and all. So,
I don't want to keep interrupting, but it's just we're replacing the playground. The
Yes, ma'am.
park is already there.
okay.
So I know, I don't, make sure that there's no confusion on that. It's just the playground that we're
Yeah.
replacing. So, but yeah, it's a nice budget.
Okay, but the goal is here, what I see is trying to get people to come and use it,
Sure,
so where it doesn't just sit there and,
absolutely. And it's pretty well used, but we think with the Placido Benavides opening up, within probably 18 to 20 months,
Right.
the exposure, it's not hidden anymore behind the
right. Well, we look
Mall.
forward to go visiting it,
Yeah,
seeing it though.
no. So, but
That'd
it's
be
just
great.
a playground that we're trying to replace, so.
Can any of the items on the playground be saved or reallocated somewhere else?
no, normally that is not a practice that I would get into, because when you're moving that stuff and you're knocking out concrete and that, it just does not come back as a good thing that I would even venture out to try to say, let's repurpose that somewhere else.
Okay. Next is Parks Master Plan. We've got looks like a handout here to look at.
Mr. Keelan, I've at the dais or at y'all's table, you have a copy of the master plan. This is a project that we need to get started on. We have plenty of time to do this. The update is not due until 2025, and so we've got plenty of time to work on it. And so what I was wanting to propose is that we get a committee together to thoroughly review the master plan, see if there are items that have been accomplished, see if there are items that are no longer, that we don't feel like that we are needing in that, and just to do a review on it, and then to see, okay, what updates do we need to do, and how we need to go about that process. And so what my recommendation was to develop a subcommittee that could do the same thing, kind of meet to review, come back and talk to this board about this as the kind of a plan of how we want to approach, updating this plan, if that's what we choose to. Now, we will need to update some of it, but how in-depth that needs to be, that's what I would like this committee to work forward to. And so I would say that this committee needs, that the smaller the start-off group with this would be, the better, so that we don't have 5 or 6 different, we can really focus on certain areas and then work towards that and see, okay, what do we need to do? What are our next steps? This is, like I said, this is going to be a 2 to 3 year process. It's not going to be something that just over, the next month or so we're going to get completed. And so that's kind of when I wanted to just kind of kick it off. And with that committee, we'll start off, and then we'll give the commission as a whole updates on what the progress is.
Isn't a master plan pretty generic in its purpose? There's not like line items of specific goals.
Correct.
I was reading over your needs assessment there, looking at, was that from the community itself, people that go to these parks, or?
Yeah, there were survey done. This was done by my predecessor before. Now reading through it and stuff, they did a very good job on it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of that it's time to revisit it and to relook. Okay, what do we need? What have we gotten accomplished? And it may be that we've got to go back out and do a needs assessment with the community again. And so that's what this group will do is determine what we need to do and what the course of action is going to be. This is going to be something that's going to take all of the commissioners helping with as we get into public hearings and public meetings, but I want to put a framework together of how we're going to proceed before we just go out there. And so it's going to take all of us as a group. So I wanted to say that there will be multiple committees as we move forward. This first group is just going to see where do we want to start, how do we want to attack the first part of this plan.
It looks like the needs assessment was part of this document, the one that was done back in, whenever it was done.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I like your planning that you got there. I'd like to ask you, how big is your operation? How many troops do you have, personnel and?
And I think that the best thing for that to do, Jesse, is for you and I to meet and discuss that individually. It's not on this agenda in that sense, and that way, I'll be glad to sit down with you and go over my operating budget, my staffing, and all those.
Well, I'm just
different
curious because it looks like you're handling everything pretty good. It sounds like with the personnel you have, you're trying your best on that.
things. Well, thank you. I've got
So
good
just-
leadership that lets me do my job.
Yeah,
so.
that's pretty good, man.
Let me suggest something for this, since we're missing several members. What's our next scheduled meeting for?
We would meet again. I mean, we can meet anytime. We can meet once. We don't have to stick by the quarterly meetings. And I think that's a very good idea that we've got 3 members that aren't here that may want to participate in that committee. We're not on a time scale for this. I wanted to start it early. I wanted to make sure that we had ample time to do this. So it's not like if we don't form this committee tonight that, oh no, we're behind the 8 ball. This is something that can be pushed. So we could do it in January or February, or, our next scheduled meeting would probably be in March, but we could definitely meet in January or February to establish this committee without any problems at all. And so don't think that we have to do this tonight.
Well, it might be even that we might prefer a couple of smaller committees or something to look at different aspects of it or something. I guess my preference would be, I'd at least like to get some input from Mark and Kevin and Jill, and Jill's new, on this, and, maybe from you guys too as well. And if this is a 3-year project, maybe we should do this when we have the rest of our board here to decide how to staff that.
Perfectly acceptable.
Because now we're the same volunteers.
Yeah.
Colby, in the past, you've talked about establishing a new park. Is there any location for that yet?
I think, Ms. Repke, if you want me to put that on the agenda, then I'll be glad to put it on the agenda, but we have
Okay.
to stick to this agenda.
All right. But this is the existing plan as it stands now.
I thought that would tie
So
in with this, the master plan.
this will
Yeah,
be
I
our
think
starting
that's
point.
that's a little
though,
bit of a
from-
stretch. So.
This is our starting point for moving forward then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's go into election of officers. Looks like we have to elect a chair, vice chair, and executive chair.
We can do this multiple ways. We do have ballots that we can pass out. You can do it by a nomination process, and so that's really at the will of you as the chairperson,
Right.
Mr. Keeling, as far as
Okay.
how would you like to proceed. I
Well,
have the ability to do
how-
that.
How long is the term for the officers?
There are
Are
1
these
year.
1-year term?
Yeah, and and this one will be 9 months because we missed the October meeting.
Okay, so they're till October of
Yes, sir.
next year?
Yes, sir.
Well, my suggestion would be that since we hadn't met regularly, that we keep the same slate except for the executive chairperson, because that person is no longer in the commission. So if everybody agrees with it, we just elect a executive chairperson.
If you want to put that in the form of a motion.
Sure, I'll make that a motion that we keep the chairperson and vice chairperson, and we elect a new executive chairperson.
Good, I'll second that.
Second for that?
I second
Okay.
it.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, so I guess we can take nominations from the floor for the executive chairperson. Are there any nominations? Jesse, would you stand for nomination?
I'll be glad to help out any way I can. I'm new at this, so here. But I'm not afraid to get my feet wet.
Okay. Anyone else want to, you don't, you could nominate yourself. I mean, there's no reason not to,
I'll nominate myself.
you'll
I
nominate your.
was, I had it before and I missed a meeting and a new officer came on, so I was like, what?
So, we've got, two nominations, I guess. Are you? I just want to make sure we've got all the nominations on the, okay, you want to pass that? Okay, that's a good idea.
I'll pass these out.
All right.
Let me get back. I would like to let you know that this is not a secret ballot. This will be kept on file as far as making sure that we're not doing anything in secret. So if you could, please write your name on the top, put it with a 1 and circle it so that if we do have a tie, which we shouldn't, we got the amount here, that we will keep this on file. And so if you'll put your name on there, circle it, put a 1 on there just in case we have a second ballot, and then go ahead and write the name of your vote in. And then myself and Angelina will tally the votes when you're ready. Just so if we happen to have a tie, actually, I gotta keep these. We are a tie. And so without being able to vote that, I don't know if we want to continue to wait till the next meeting to, once we bring that up, or. I
Why don't we
know.
just do that if that's not, if that's,
that's
if
no
we're,
problem.
let's just do that. We'll have the election at the next meeting for that position.
Okay.
That fly?
Sure.
Work for everybody?
Good.
Okay,
All right.
good, because that also has the added advantage of meaning that we're done, so.
I don't know if this is legal. Can I do this? I wanted to give a shout out to Victoria in Motion Magazine for running an article on a disc golf story. They did a feature, and it's a really nice write-up. So if you can, check it out. It's online, or if not, you can pick a copy up at Outburst Advertising. They did a really nice job.
Yeah, I'm all for building the circulation of that particular publication too, so, good idea. If anyone, if nothing else, we're adjourned at, it looks like 6:13 or so. All right, thank you all.